Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something pretty wild. A claim that seems almost outlandish, really.
Mm.
That the solution to huge global problems, energy, food, environmental crises, might just be, well, floating on your local pond or diving into duckweed.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Because we're talking about the lemnoid subfamily,
Okay.
about 36 species of these tiny aquatic plants. People often just think they're algae.
Right, that green scum.
Exactly. But they're biologically extreme. This little plant holds, believe it or not, 3 world records.
3. Okay, let's unpack those. What's the first one?
Well, first off, it's officially the smallest flowering plant on Earth.
Smallest. How small are we talking?
The flower itself is tiny, like literally the size of a pinhead.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
extreme number 1. What's next?
Second, it's arguably the fastest growing plant we know of.
Faster than bamboo or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Under the right conditions, it can double its entire mass, its biomass, every 48 hours.
Every 2 days. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
It really is. And third, it's structurally super simple, one of the simplest in the whole plant kingdom.
What do you mean simple? Like it doesn't look like a normal plant?
Not really. It's
Okay.
basically just a single sort of modified leaf structure. We call it a frond.
It's a frond. Okay.
Yeah, no real stem to speak
Yeah.
of. And some species, like the famous wolfia,
Yeah.
they've even ditched roots entirely, just floating there.
No roots. Huh.
That simplicity, though, combined with that incredible growth speed, that's what makes it such a powerhouse.
Right.
And you mentioned the sources.
Mm.
They repeatedly highlight just how packed these fronds are with nutrients.
Nutrients like what?
Starch,
Right.
mainly. Depending on the species, anywhere from 40 to, get this, 75% of its dry weight is pure starch.
75%.
Yep, that's a massive amount of stored energy.
Yeah.
And that's a key point we need to remember when we talk about, its potential uses later.
Okay. Got it. Starch powerhouse. So let's dig into that explosive growth. How does something so small reproduce so aggressively?
It's all about finding the right spot and being efficient. Duckweed loves still or slow-moving water. Fresh water, maybe slightly salty.
Okay. Ponds, quiet streams.
Exactly. It needs sunlight on top, obviously, for photosynthesis. But the real key is what's underneath.
Which is?
Nutrients. Lots of dissolved nutrients, often from decaying stuff, leaves, organic matter. That's its fertilizer.
So it likes nutrient-rich water, like runoff.
Precisely. Runoff from farms, maybe wastewater outlets.
Mm.
It thrives in those conditions. And that speed you mentioned, doubling its weight in 2 days.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you start with, say, 1 ton on Monday,
Uh-huh.
by Wednesday you've got 2 tons. By Friday, 4 tons. It's exponential.
That's just mind-boggling. How quickly can it take over an area?
Well, estimates suggest that in those ideal conditions, it could cover an entire acre of water surface in just 45 days.
An acre from a tiny starting point. Wow. So how does it do it? It's not using seeds, right? That would be too slow.
Correct. It uses something called vegetative reproduction.
Vegetative, like cloning.
Essentially, yes. It's like a nonstop cloning process. Instead of flowers and seeds, it just sprouts tiny daughter fronds.
From the parent plant.
Yeah, from little reproductive pockets on the parent frond. When the daughter's big enough, it just detaches and starts its own life, ready to reproduce almost right away.
And how many times can one plant do that?
One parent can pop out maybe up to 10 new clones in its short lifetime.
Which is why it spreads like wildfire on water.
Exactly. It moves through water channels, obviously, but it also hitchhikes.
Hitchhikes.
Sticks to the feet and feathers of ducks and other waterfowl. That's how it got its name, duckweed.
Ah, makes sense. You know that saying, like water off a duck's back? Well, I guess duckweed doesn't quite roll off so easily.
Apparently not. And this whole strategy gives it a huge competitive advantage, especially against things like algae.
Right, people confuse them. You see a green pond, you think algae.
Yeah, but algae is more like a mass, a slime sometimes. Duckweed, if you look close, is thousands of tiny individual plants.
And in a competition between them.
Duckweed almost always wins, hands down.
Ow.
Surface coverage.
Yeah.
It spreads so fast it forms this dense mat right on the top layer of the water.
Okay.
And that mat completely blocks the sunlight from getting through.
Ah, so it shades out the algae below.
Exactly. Starves it of light. Duckweed wins the resource war just by being quicker to the surface.
So, okay. We've got this incredibly effective, super fast-growing plant. But that success seems to cut both ways, doesn't it? Like, is it a good thing for an ecosystem or a bad thing?
That's the core of its ecological duality. It's both, often at the same time in the same place.
How can it be both?
Well, first, it's usually native It's not technically invasive like some foreign plant taking over. It belongs there.
Okay, so it's not an outsider.
Right. But when conditions are too good, when those nutrient levels spike, its growth goes into overdrive, and then it behaves like an invasive species. It just completely dominates.
Takes over the whole pond.
Yeah. And when that happens, the results can be, well, catastrophic for everything living underneath. We call it the oxygen barrier effect.
The oxygen barrier. Sounds bad.
It is. It's a double whammy, really. First, the duckweed itself, growing so fast, just sucks up a huge amount of the dissolved oxygen already in the water.
Uses it up.
And second, that thick green blanket, it forms on the surface. It acts like a lid.
A lid?
A physical barrier. It stops oxygen from the air dissolving back into the water.
Oh, I see. So the oxygen gets used up and no more can get in.
Precisely. And that leads to what we call an anaerobic environment. No oxygen.
Which means?
Fish, amphibians, insects, anything that needs to breathe dissolved oxygen in the water, they suffocate. It can kill off almost everything below.
Silent killing.
A rapid one, too. And there's more. That dense cover also blocks sunlight, UV light specifically.
And UV light normally kills germs, right?
Yeah, it helps sanitize the water surface. So when it's blocked, certain pathogens that the sun usually keeps in check can suddenly thrive. Combine that with all the decaying stuff underneath that died from lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
And you get that awful, swampy, rotten smell. It's a smell of a system gone toxic, like leaving the lid on soup for way too long.
Okay, that's definitely the hazard side. A pretty bleak picture. But let's flip that. You said it's a duality. What about the habitat side, when it's not out of control?
Right. When it's in balance, it's actually a really important part of the ecosystem. It's a major food source. For starters.
For ducks, obviously.
For ducks, absolutely. Yeah. But also muskrats, beavers, snails, lots of fish, even herons pick at it. It's starchy, high in protein, good food.
So a floating buffet.
Pretty much. And it's not just food, it's shelter.
Shelter. Ow.
Those little floating mats. Damselflies and dragonflies land on them, lay their eggs among the fronds.
Oh, neat.
And underneath, those tiny rootlets some species have. They provide cover for microscopic creatures, protozoans and such.
A whole little world in there.
Exactly. And frogs. Frogs love it. They hide in it from predators. Some of the sources called it the ultimate hideout you can never get hungry in.
Huh? I like that. A safe space with snacks included.
But that cover works both ways.
How so?
Predators use it too. Think about it as that dense, opaque green mat.
Perfect camouflage.
Exactly. Crocodiles. Big predatory fish. They can lurk just underneath, completely hidden, waiting to ambush anything that comes near the surface.
Wow. So it's life and death, shelter, and ambush zone all in one.
That's nature, right? It's rarely simple.
Okay, so we have this ecological Janus face. Now, how does this connect back to us, to human applications? You mentioned that huge starch content earlier.
Right. Let's bring it back to that astonishing nutritional profile. 40 to 75% starch, plus high protein, good fatty acids. It's a nutritional dynamo.
Which means it's good for more than just wildlife.
Absolutely. It's fantastic animal fodder. People have used it for centuries to feed livestock.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. You can grow it hydroponically on water, which means it doesn't need farmland.
Ah, so it doesn't compete with crops we grow for humans.
Exactly. No land competition.
Yeah.
And harvesting, super easy.
Yeah.
It multiplies like crazy. You just scoop it off the surface. No tractors, no tilling.
Simple, efficient. And are humans eating it directly?
We're starting to, more and more. It's been eaten traditionally in parts of Asia for a long time.
Right.
But now it's hitting the global health market. You see supplements made from specific species, like Lendoltia punctata.
Supplements for what?
They're promoted as great plant-based sources of vitamin B12, iron, and high-quality protein. Some say the protein quality rivals soy.
Interesting. B12 especially is hard to get from plants.
Exactly. And then there's the whole traditional medicine angle.
Oh, yeah. Used for what?
Well, in Chinese and Korean traditions, it's often used for things like cooling inflammation. Basic remedies.
Okay.
But modern science is actually looking into it more seriously now. They're finding some interesting bioactive compounds.
In such a simple plant, like what?
Things like phenolics and flavonoids. Potent antioxidants, which is why some species aren't just folk remedies anymore. They're being clinically investigated, properly studied, for potentially treating some really serious conditions.
Like what?
The sources mentioned ongoing research into treatments for lung and colon cancer.
Cancer? From duckweed? That's huge potential.
It really is. I mean, imagine a readily available, rapidly growing resource for new medicines. It's quite something.
Definitely justifies the attention. Okay, so food, medicine. What about that environmental hazard side? Can we turn that negative into a positive wastewater treatment, maybe?
That's exactly where its aggressive growth becomes its biggest asset. We can use duckweed to clean up polluted water.
How does that work?
Remember how it loves nutrient-rich water?
Yeah, the stuff that makes it grow out of control in ponds.
Well, that pollution, things like ammonia, phosphorus, nitrates found in sewage, farm runoff, food processing waste that's prime duckweed fertilizer.
So you grow it in the wastewater?
Precisely. It gobbles up those dissolved nutrients incredibly fast. It also absorbs heavy metals and other toxins, concentrating them in its own tissues.
So it literally pulls the pollutants out of the water.
Yes, that's the process phytoremediation,
Yeah.
using plants to clean the environment.
And does it help with other water problems too, like algae blooms?
Big time. By covering the surface so quickly, it outcompetes those harmful blue-green algae blooms we hear about. It not only cleans the water chemically, but also prevents toxic algae from taking hold. Double duty.
Okay, that sounds amazing. But wait, if you grow duckweed in, say, sewage effluent and it absorbs heavy metals, what do you do with the duckweed afterwards? You can't feed that to cows or make supplements, right?
Excellent question. That's the critical link. You absolutely can't put that contaminated biomass into the food chain.
So, burn it, landfill,
Better, you turn it into energy. Remember that starch content?
40 to 75%, yeah.
Perfect feedstock for making liquid biofuels, specifically bioethanol.
Ethanol, like alcohol fuel, from pond scum grown in wastewater.
Essentially, yes. This puts duckweed into what we call third-generation biofuels.
Third generation, what were the first two?
First generation is using food crops, corn, sugarcane to make ethanol. Problem is, that competes with food production, drives up prices.
Right, food versus fuel.
Second generation uses non-food plant waste like wood chips or straw. Better, but often harder to process.
And duckweed is third gen because?
Because it doesn't need farmland at all, and critically, it actually cleans up waste streams while it grows. It solves multiple problems at once.
And the yield, is it comparable to corn?
Potentially much higher per unit of time, especially considering it uses wastewater, not precious fresh water. The process is pretty standard. Use yeast to ferment the starch
Into ethanol.
into ethanol, alcohol,
See?
which can then be blended with or even replace gasoline, a sustainable fuel source grown on waste.
Okay, let's just take a step back. We started with this tiny, tiny plant, flower the size of a pinhead. And we've ended up talking about its potential to impact global food supplies, develop new medicines, clean up pollution, and create sustainable energy. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is a perfect example of that double-edged sword, isn't it? The
Thank-
very thing that makes it an ecological menace, that insane growth rate, its hunger for nutrients.
Yeah.
That's exactly what makes it potentially so valuable for cleaning water and making biofuel on a huge scale.
So the takeaway isn't just duckweed is great or duckweed is terrible.
Not at all. The key is management. It's about harnessing that power responsibly. The challenge, as you touched on, is figuring out how to scale it up safely. How do we keep the biofuel duckweed grown on waste separate from the food duckweed grown in clean water? Logistics, safety, efficiency.
Intelligent stewardship, not just exploitation.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
That's that.
What other tiny overlooked things are out there right under our noses holding this kind of enormous potential? Things we just haven't figured out how to work with yet without causing unintended problems.
A humbling thought. Something to definitely mull over.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.